Because of the club's history of criminal activities, the FBI has been investigating the Hells Angels for quite some time. It would be tough to make a definitive list of the top most feared Hells Angels members or leaders, although a few have gained widespread notoriety. Keep in mind that there are several Hells Angels chapters around the world, each with its own set of members who, depending on where they live, may have varying degrees of influence and notoriety. This video lists the 3 most dreaded Hells Angels in the history of the FBI, starting with George Christie. Christie is the individual who, according to FBI agents, caused fear simply by being in the room. Christie's long silver hair and intimidating motorbike riding style reportedly sent shockwaves through the FBI's ranks. FBI agents, they say, would drop their donuts and run for the files if his name was spoken for fear of the wrath of this leather-clad legend. Christie's legendary organizational skills are said to have led the FBI astray. He would plan covert operations from his biker hideout, which would baffle the FBI agents. They would study his portrait on the wall as they huddled around their desks, discussing how this motorcycling nut was always one step ahead of them. However, let's stop daydreaming and get down to business. Christie was a well-known Hells Angel and had his fair share of legal problems, but it's safe to assume the FBI had more pressing matters to attend. They were too busy fending off actual threats to national security, including spies and international criminal organizations. Since George Christie may have only become well-known inside biker circles, even the most imaginative comedian would have a hard time coming up with the great exaggeration that he was the most FBI-feared man. Christie and his leather cloak antics became urban legend as the FBI became preoccupied with more pressing threats. The next one on the list is Maurice Boucher. Legend has it that the very mention of Maurice Boucher strikes terror into the hearts of FBI officers. An imposing figure and notorious figure as the boss of the Hells Angels branch in Montreal, Boucher reportedly sent chills down the spines of even the most seasoned operatives. The FBI, famous for fighting international criminal organizations and terrorist groups, likely feared meeting Boucher and his motley crew of bikers. The FBI allegedly assigned multiple agents specifically to keep an eye on Boucher because of how influential he was and how audacious his illicit plans were. They would gather in tight groups to study images of Boucher, his towering frame and handlebar mustache striking fear into the hearts of the clerical workers. But let's return to reality after spending some time in the realm of myth. It's logical to assume that the FBI had more pressing matters to attend to than Boucher, despite the fact that he was a notorious Hells Angel and criminal. Even if Boucher was under observation, the likelihood that he was the most feared target is extremely low. Thus, even the most creative author would have a hard time imagining Boucher as the most FBI-feared man, despite his renown among biker communities. Boucher and his exploits became a colorful footnote in criminal history, as the FBI's focus shifted to more pressing matters. Sonny Barger has risen to the top spot. Legendary Hells Angels Motorcycle Club member Sonny Barger is rumored to give the FBI reason to worry. Barger, with his wild beard and powerful demeanor, has a long history of being involved in the club's inner workings. Asserting, however, that he is the most FBI-feared individual is like claiming a bulldog is the most feared animal in a petting zoo. Barger's charisma and boldness attracted the attention of law enforcement agencies, most notably the FBI. He became a symbol of the Hells Angels, a guy whose very name struck fear into the hearts of his adversaries. It might be a stretch to say that the FBI was so terrified of Sonny Barger that they couldn't sleep at night. Barger did break the law and serve time behind bars. To be sure, a group of motorcyclists revving their engines isn't the worst thing cops have had to deal with. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, is tasked with combating serious risks to national security, such as organized crime and terrorism. Sonny Barger may have been a powerful figure within the Hells Angels, but to call him the most FBI-feared individual is hyperbole that would challenge even the most creative authors. Cops have greater fish to fry than dealing with a gang of leather-clad motorcycles racing down the highways. There are a few people in Hells Angels history who have left as much of a mark as Sonny Barger, Maurice Boucher, and George Christie. Despite the overblown tales of intimidation and dread that their notoriety has inspired, it is important to keep things in perspective. The FBI has bigger fish to fry than a group of leather-clad bikers, so let's take pleasure in the colorful legends about them. But also remember that the FBI faces formidable foes in the form of motorcycling fanatics, international criminal organizations, and threats to national security. What other criminal organizations or individuals do you know of that have posed a greater threat to the FBI than the Hells Angels? Do share your opinions in the comments below.